Good morning. Buenos dias. I hope you are well, staying positive and focused on what you can control. Welcome to Cafecito con ASE, where this year our theme is Avanza, advancing positive impact where momentum meets opportunity, ensuring that we are promoting inclusive, equitable spaces for everyone. Drop in where you are tuning in from the chat and let us know where you are engaging from. What brings you to Cafecito con ASE today? My name is Patricia Mota, and I have the honor of serving as president and CEO of ASPEN, the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement, a national organization whose mission since 1982 is to positively impact workplaces by cultivating the comunidad of talent, providing the insight, access, and support to be successful in their careers. One key thing for our many alumni that are out there, many of you that we got to see last week at our summit, those of you that are tuning in virtually, we do have an alumni event that is coming up on May 16th. So I know our colleague Stephen Hodge will drop that information in the chat. May 16th, please check it out and register for that free event. And I think that's it for my ASE announcements. I want to introduce our special guest for this morning. If you haven't had a chance to meet him yet, one of our newest team members at ASE, who is John Moreno-Escobar, our Vice President of Development and Strategic Initiative. Buenos dias, John.
Buenos dias, Patricia. How you doing?
I'm doing well today. I'm doing well. Are you ready to engage with our audience?
Let's go. Let's do it. Always ready.
Let's go. Venga, vamos. Let's go. Let's do it. We'll talk a little bit. First thing is first, and we want to hear from our audience too, because our question is always, how do you like your cafecito or your morning beverage of choice?
Well,
salud.
Salud. I'm drinking from I knew you were bringing the cafecito mug, so I didn't want to have twins. So I brought my Colombia mug. And I always like my coffee black with 2 brown sugars.
Muy bien, muy bien. Salud, salud. And those of you tuning in, share with us how you like your cafecito, your morning beverage of choice, and leverage this as an opportunity to network, to engage with one another. We see mucha leche y azuquita. I love that. We got folks from Florida,
Here you go.
Columbus, Indiana, Naperville, a ver, Boca Raton, Chi-Town. Keep them coming, engage. We love hearing from you all. John, one of the things that I love about Cafecito con ASE is we get to feature individuals, their stories, how they got to where they are. So tell us, ¿quién es John? Or, as I referred to you earlier, Johncito. Tell us who you are, how you got to ASE.
Yeah, no, thank you. First of all, my nickname actually since college is Johncito. So if you ever had access to my WhatsApp or any other of my networks, you will see it in the name. It's not that I'm calling myself Johncito. That's how people remembers me. I don't know why. But so I was born in Colombia, born and raised in Bogota, so from South America. I came to the United States when I was 18, and I came to New York City. And I did every other immigrant journey like any other one. I went through multiple jobs. I went through a lot of hurdles, but education was the pillar of my family. So education was my American dream. And I had the opportunity to being able to educate myself and going through CUNY, through the system of universities of New York City, which I own, I will say 80 to 90% of what I am as a professional and as a person. And then, I moved to South Florida 7 years ago, and I'll be here with my family, with my lovely wife, Jennifer Ramos, which is watching. So, hey, babe. And to my son, which is in school. So he's not watching, but it's okay. We'll show him the recording. And then, I have been in the space of the non-for-profit as an executive, as a founder, working in the startup educational technology space as well, working with chambers of commerce, working with for-profit companies that are trying to do really social impact at the end of the day. So really working on making sure that is the pillar of me, right? Working on education, advancing Latino. So at a certain point, I took a break from my previous job, and I was looking for the next thing, and it needed to be connected to my purpose. And I have shared this publicly and privately, and And when I saw this position, I actually went and talked to our COO, Jasmine Mendoza, and I told her, like, Jasmine, I'm applying to the job. And she was like, oh, okay, I don't know you. Like, I don't know, you stalking me on LinkedIn. But I was like, yeah, I'm applying. And I, of course, knew Patricia from previous engagements as I've been involved in the Hispanic community for a long time. And I remember that I sent you a text and I was like, don't worry, I'm just telling you I'm applying for this job. You don't have to do anything. I will earn it like I have earned everything else. But I think that one of the biggest things to decide to move into this position was you as a leader. I think that I looked up to you, and you are a tremendous and incredible person who has transformed many spaces in our community. So why I ended to be here was mainly because of the leader that this organization has, but also a really special person that I mentioned to you too many times, which is Bobby, which is your executive assistant. She was just amazing. She keeps surprising me. We just went through the summit. We can talk about that, but incredible team, incredible people, and your mission, right? The mission of our organization now here at ASE is just something that I have been doing for a long time, and now I feel that coming back from those 2-3 months that I took off, or more than 3 months that I took off to really look into what was my next step, really finding an organization that is helping Latinos, Latinas, Latinx all over the country was something that definitely resonated with me and my purpose. Really happy to be here.
Wow. Well, we're really happy to have you, John, and I know you just got to experience for the first time as a staff member here, a leader at ASA last week. But I also want to, make sure that I give a shout out to our amazing board of directors, especially our executive committee, which was a hiring committee, part of the hiring committee, right? That you got to meet and interact with as we brought you on board formally to the team. But as many of you may know here, joining us on the social media channels, YouTube, that last week was our big annual National Leadership Summit and Sembrando el Futuro award celebration. And we just got to debrief with the team. We're having conversations and still following up with many of the conversations that were had. John, what was like some key highlights for you that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, no, I think that if you have not been, which is my case, this is again my first, like Patricia mentioned. If you have not been in this summit, I guarantee you're missing out. Like, you are missing out. Incredible conversations. I think the biggest highlight, we were talking about this yesterday, Patricia, is the caliber of speakers. Like, wow, the topics. I mean, we really dived into really interesting and breaking through conversations. With the quality of the speakers that we had, I think was incredible. For me, that is the first highlight. And I think that, we go to a lot of conferences. We go to many conferences around the country. And it's always about that quality of conversations in that community that you start building, that you sit in, someone is nodding and you nodding, you're like, oh my God, who are you? Like, I want to talk to you. Why are you nodding? Like, I'm nodding. Like, you're trying to connect with people that think like you, but also with people that disagree with you. That's the beauty of what we do, right? So also with people who have different ways of seeing things. So that would be my second thing. It was like, yes, great content, great speakers, but also a different type of audience for everything, right? We had people who were looking corporate social responsibility from one lens, other people who were seeing the AI from another lens, people who were seeing the influence of AI, of what we do every day in different ways of how they apply it to their jobs. So I think that is the second highlight, is that diversity of thought leadership around the conference. And the third one, I have to say, it's the location was great. Chicago is amazing. But also seeing a lot of people coming to Chicago from different parts of the nation.
Yeah.
That was another thing, the diversity of people from LA, from New York, from Florida, from Midwest, from East, Southeast, and Northeast. I mean, it was just incredible to see this community coming together and sharing a lot of thoughts about the topics that we had for the conference.
Yeah, amazing. And if you joined us, those of you tuning in, please drop in the chat what were some of your key highlights. And of course, we're always capturing feedback. If you haven't filled out the survey, we'll be making sure you receive it, because we want all your feedback so that we're always, improving, doing better in the experience. And that, to that point, it's like comunidad, right? The community. which was very important for us as a team, as an organization, that every person walking through that door, through that experience, felt welcome, felt connected, felt engaged, and that we were equipping. You talked about the caliber of sessions, and a lot of it was also on AI. We've been talking about it's here to stay. We need to make sure that we're having the right subject matter experts, the right candid conversations to ensure that we are ready for that. Was there anything on AI specifically that stood out to you? I mean, I know a lot of conversations throughout the
Yes. No, yes, actually, I was able and privileged enough to be in a closed session talking about AI with our chief diversity officers and people from different corporations. And Salvador Mendoza, our board member, was facilitating that conversation. And for me, it was really interesting how you might think that people are not embracing it, but really people is just trying to understand how to embrace it. So how is that we start? Where do we start? And I think that we've been talking here as and how we could help our community to really start that conversation. I think that during the CDO roundtable and the workshops that we had, I think that was the catalyst. It was like we were the catalyst of the conversation. How are you going to start AI in your company, right? Because it could be as simple as summarizing conversations, right? Like we sometimes do here at ASPEN, or it could be more like a process, like, everything that has to be with talent acquisition and making sure that we are picking the right candidates for specific jobs with AI that could help us to not just filter candidates, but understand the culture of the company and educate that AI to make those decisions and help us to make those decisions, not to make those decisions, to help us make those decisions for us. But also another thing on AI that was really interesting for me was what questions should we ask AI in nowadays for equity, inclusion, diversity. It was really interesting to hear experts talking about that, because for me it was like, oh, I will never think about that because I'm not an expert on AI and the DNI. So it was really interesting to see that. But I think AI, as you say, is here to stay, and I look forward for ASE, of course, with your leadership and the rest of the team, to become a front runner on how organizations are working on the topics that we work around, seeing how to start, because it's just so new and it changes every day. So it's really hard.
It is. It's moving very fast. I see a lot of great comments in terms of thoughts regarding AI, some of the speakers that we had, and also Michael Alicea, who's our vice chair of the board of directors, our CHRO at Trellix, and many companies also had an insightful presentation. We also unveiled a white paper that we'll be sending around on the importance of what DEI leaders need to know about AI, because to your point, is making sure that the gaps, that the disparities that currently exist, that do not widen as a result of the fast pace of AI happening. So lots of great nuggets there. We had a plenary session, an amazing keynote. Ivan Tornos, the CEO of Zimmer Biomet. So you may see in the chat around an ASE messaging, Venga Vamos. It's coming because of his keynote address.
Wow.
Where we talked about his purpose and his personal journey. We had some people saying that they had some tears in the audience. John, what were your thoughts?
Oh no, don't ask me that. We could stay here all morning or afternoon, wherever you're connected from. I have a really personal connection with what he shared, because next month is going to be, or this month is going to be 3 years of a brain surgery I suffer from an aneurysm in my brain. And his story was just like, oh my God, he just went through so many things. But I think the most important than that, in our struggles and our personal stories, was this piece on his story where he said the Venga Vamos for his brother that passed away, right? And he shares the way that he took care of his brother's kids. And it just showed me the way of the type of leader that he is, and the type of leader that we should be, that empathy, right? I think for me, it's in the cornerstone of every leader should be empathy. You have to be empathetic. You have to understand where people is coming from. And so for me, just was a home run. I think that keynote speaker, Patricia, I think also give him a lot of business because he got, I think, a lot of people who said this come and do our, speaking engagement with us.
Yeah.
But Ivan just, and also his company, all the staff members that were there was many, like 15 people were waiting for him. He took a picture with you and the rest of the staff members and our board chair.
And their ERG group was also, Juntos was the ERG of the Year awardees as well. So Valerie, all the team that was there, shout out to them as well for that. But oh my goodness, I know we were there's a lot to cover. I mean, even so we're not going to go through it all. I know as we're talking to our marketing team, a few videos or highlights will be sent out to everyone. So that you can get a view, but start planning for next year, right? To join us. I want to talk about too. I mean, there was a session on mental health, about the imposter syndrome, the telenovela in your head, and so shout out to Juan Carlos Avila with Happy Life. I know Yahaira from our board moderated that conversation. I'm gonna miss some names here, people, so please forgive me. Ruby, I'm not gonna go through everybody, but we'll make sure you know who these individuals are. But there was a lot of data presented. Yeah, it's a feel good. It's important that we're providing spaces that help really build people, empower people, build community. But we got to couple that with the data as to why this is so important. We had Ana Valdez, who was moderated, the president CEO of Latino Donor Collaborative, who publishes reports regarding the Latino GDP, regarding the purchasing power, so many facts. Moderated with Silvana Montenegro on our board of directors. Any thoughts on or highlights from that, John, that you would add?
Yeah, no, just saying that Anna's report, the last one they put out was the Latinos in Engineering, which if you haven't, it is an incredible report about our youth and our professionals and everyone who is involved in the STEM world and engineering.
In partnership with SHIP. So we have to give them a shout out, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers.
That's true. In partnership with SHIP. But I think that the biggest thing, we could talk all about data, and Claudia Romo also from Hispanic Star, and you share a lot of data during the conference, the summit, and the impact of our economic power, and specifically Latinas more than Latinos. The men, estamos ahí como mal, pero the women really bring in a lot of power, the purchasing power, and the way that we know women and Latinas specifically start businesses at a faster rate than men in the United States. It's just a big data point. But what I could tell you is that sometimes we stay in the data and we forget that we need to inspire the next generation. That's why the importance of our high school and college programs, where we could inspire the next generation to see that data, to see Patricia Motas as CEOs, to see Ana Valdez as CEOs, to see John Moreno as VPs, and other people who are doing incredible work around our community. And so if we're not, making sure that they see it, because we see it all the time, we live in this data, but if they don't see it, it's going to be harder for them to follow our footsteps. And we are in the shoulders of other people, and then they're going to be in our shoulders as we move forward in another generation. So I think that my only takeaway from seeing all these numbers and all the data that was shared during the summit is that we need to also share those numbers with our next generation, with our youth. And we do a great job here at ASPEN with our programs to make sure that they know the numbers. But if you are interested, please make sure that you share or you visit our website and you get to connect with us here on the chat or somewhere else. But please connect with us. We will love to partner with you to inspire our next generation, but also to make sure that people in your companies that are Latino or Latinas or Latinx, that they get to be connected with us, and so we could enhance their careers and make sure that they move forward in their pathways, for sure.
Exacto. Move forward in their pathway. I know we're getting ready to wrap up here in our conversation, but continue the dialogue in the chat. Continue to ask questions. If we don't get to it, we'll make sure that we go back to the chat. I also want one thing that I do want to say. We talked a lot about the anti-DEI sentiment that's happening, and I'll say it here. I said it a lot. It's imperative that we understand that the risks are much greater if we are not pushing DEI. And so that's a lot of part of the conversation. It's got to be the data and the DEI. You cannot sustain the programs, the initiatives without having diversity, equity, and inclusion belonging at the forefront to be able to sustain the types of programs and initiatives. And so I will give off, and then I do want to do a last shout out. I posted it on my LinkedIn. I tagged everyone. Please let me know if I missed anybody. But the team, all of the team, that really all of their hard work and dedication, get to know who they are. I put that on a post. So John, as we wrap up, what are you most hopeful for?
Oh my God. Well, the first thing people are going to laugh about this is I want Real Madrid to win the Champions League. So for all my soccer fanatics, it's next week we will know if they go to the final. But on a serious note, I think that I'm really hopeful about the transformation of ASE as an organization to really move as a forerunner into this, what you just mentioned, this anti-DEI movement. We are pushing through, and we're going to be the organization that leads the way moving forward to make sure that every individual who feels that is not welcome, or that feels that needs that training, or feels that need that mentor or that peer that helps you in your workplace, that we are the organization you should be going and see and ask for help. And we are going, I'm really hopeful for that, to see that moving forward in the next couple of years with your leadership and the leadership of an incredible team that we have. And so super excited about that. And Hala Madrid.
I see you hit a nerve perhaps with some folks on there, pero on the soccer piece. But all of that, see, juntos avanzamos, together we will advance. Thank you, John. Looking forward to continuing this work. All of you tuning in, continue to engage in the chat. Stay connected with ASE. Y hasta la próxima. Until next time, everyone. Take care.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.